Hi crew, this is Captain Chris and you're watching Locked on Target. This week we're going to be talking about Alloy7's Level 9 Gamerlife post, can we outgrow a certain genre or certain video game type? First, I want to address one of the points he brought up in the video. He felt that it was kind of a cruel juxtaposition of why this came up and why he's abandoned JRPGs in general, or traditional JRPGs I should say, is that he has grown up and has less time, and he now knows and has less time to deal with gaming mechanics that don't really fit what he likes to play. And I 100% agree with that, but I want to look at it from a different perspective. So for me, since I've become older as a gamer, I've figured out more and more what I've liked in games. I've figured out more of what makes me tick and what I find interesting. When I was younger, I used to be fascinated by certain concepts that no longer fascinate me because I've been there, I've done that, I've seen all that it has to give me, and I'm now done with it. Does that mean that it's not a good concept? Does that mean it's not something that is valuable? Is it not something that should exist for other gamers? No, these are good things. My primary example of this are MMORPGs, or more pigs as I call them. These MMORPGs, I'm talking more like WoW style MMOs here. I'm not talking like the Terras, the Guild Wars, the more unique RPGs. I'm talking WoW clones and basically WoW. These games focus so well on specific instances of creating this world around you, but it's so lifeless to me. And what I mean by this is that the more interesting content and the harder PvE and the story-based PvE, anything you care about in the Warcraft universe, like facing Illidan or seeing what happened to Arthas, is locked behind raid content, alright? And that's okay. Like, I'm just done with the raiding scene. I don't like the whole try-hard scene where you gotta know everything about the raid. Every class has to be performing optimal DPS and has to fit in these cookie cutter builds. Like, that kind of elitist playstyle just doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather, you know, throw in some random build with a random team and see if we can come out on top, where you know, it just shatters the community and the personalization of characters, which again is a huge tangent I could get on, but I want to stay on topic here, so forgive me for starting something and not finishing it. But I just wanted to say that those are some of the reasons why I feel like I outgrew them. That and it taking an hour and a half to 2 hours to level up one level. That is a terrible sense of progression, okay? Not only is it just one level, all right, which Guild Wars, you know, takes one to 2 hours to do that, but there's only 20 levels in the game. There is no sense of progression between level 79 and 80, or 80 and 81. You may get a skill, you may upgrade a skill, or whatever system they're using in WoW now, but generally it's just like plus 10 HP, and you might get 0.001 increase in X, Y, and Z stat. And, you know, you might get armor penetration. Oh, oops, they removed armor pen. But what I'm trying to get into is, you know, it's not satisfying to progress in that game. There's no way to personalize your characters other than to get, ooh, cool new T3 rating gear. You know, it just lost its luster to me. And having to find people, oh, I hate having to find people. There's one thing I hate in games and modern gaming conventions. It's matchmaking and finding people. Destiny highlighted this for me, all right? And that's what I grew out of Destiny, and this is what I'll talk here. I love Destiny as a concept. I loved a lot of the mechanics. I loved a lot of the rating material. I loved a lot of going and doing strikes, but matchmaking, I have never been a matchmaking person. I've hated it since they added it in Halo 2. I want my server browsers. I want to pick my experience, my map, how many people are playing in the map. I want to know what's going on. And this is the problem with modern matchmaking. How many times have you gotten into a match and then the other team, like 2 or 3 people, leave right in the middle of matchmaking because they didn't like the map that wound up on rotation? It ruins my games 9 times out of 10. Even if I'm on the winning team, I still like a fair fight. I've grown out of modern games and modern matchmaking systems because there's just no sense of choice. Even though we can pick between 3 maps in like Halo 4 or whatnot, there's no sense of choice there. I have grown out of that. Frankly, I didn't like it to begin with because if I picked a server, I could be in game in like less than a quarter of a minute. I didn't have to worry about that. If I picked a map rotation, it was an instant load, 10 seconds load between maps. Now I load in a AAA game and it's like a AAA multiplayer shooter. I should be more succinct with that. And literally, I mean literally, it's like 3 minutes between matches. That is not okay. I'm sorry, but we have taken a system and turned it into something that is horrendous when it used to be so simple. Pick your map on your server, pick what type of match play you want to actually play, and then you get into a server. That was that simple. And you found favorites, and you gamed on the same server, and then you met people that liked that server, and then you built community from it. That was what old FPSs did, right? New FPSs just have no sense of community other than... Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm starting the rant. Let's get back on topic. So... I've opened a lot of can of worms here. But, sorry, I'll get onto those topics more in depth some other time. But... I've grown out of certain mechanics in games. I don't like random battles, like B said. There's no sense of control. Now, a good game that I still love is Pokemon, and that's because of the tall grass mechanic. They did random battles in Pokemon right, in my opinion. If I was in the tall grass, that was my own dumb fault for getting the random encounter. It also added a layer of stress to the game. So if I could take a path and I had to go through the tall grass, there was the, oh gosh, I hope I don't run into that stupid Geodude because I'm out of my water move because I ran into 50 trillion of them. And there were even instances in the original Pokemon that really varied this by adding the cave sections. And I hated the cave sections, but as a gamer now, I look back and I'm like, that was a brilliant choice by Nintendo, well actually Game Freak, to include the cave sections where you had no control anymore. Only for a short period of time, and they were a slog to get through on purpose. They made you think about endurance, and it taught you a core game mechanic in Pokemon, which is you have limits to how much you can use your moves. And if you run out, you're going to be struggling quite a bit, and it's literally you struggle and you take damage. You learn not to fight every Pokemon you come across. And that was one of the great teaching moments. That is what I like in progression in games, or I will never outlive random encounters if they're done well. So to summarize my stance on this is there are instances where I just don't have time for looking at specific games or doing specific things in games, but mostly I choose my own likes and dislikes now. I just don't spend money on things that I know that will displease me. But sometimes you have to take a chance, you guys can stop watching here, but I just want to talk about one more game before I cut off my feed. I recently bought Etrian Odyssey 4 when it was on sale during the Nintendo sale, and I'm so glad I bought that game because I was like, well, I like to have visual representations of my characters fighting. Like, I love Golden Sun, and I love the whole battle mechanic of the camera shifting when you attack. That was fantastic, innovative for its time, and I still love that. And I don't get why people don't use the Golden Sun mechanic to add depth to their 2D battle systems. But I digress. Age of Empires Odyssey 4 doesn't have a visual representation of your characters other than their stats page. Well, I thought I was going to hate it because that, but it turns out I enjoyed the progression of creating a completely original party and the ability to give everyone their own name, as well as drawing my map. And I loved drawing my map. There was not a time in that game that I didn't love drawing my map. I loved that I had a radar at the bottom that told me when I was going to run into an encounter. You know, not like tell you which square you're on, but if it's blinking red, you're going to run into an encounter within 4 or 5 paces. All right. So I loved that sense of random encounter, but you knew what was going on, and you could draw your own map, make your own party, and the story was full of memorable characters. Memorable characters, as well as you know, just a great job system where nothing felt out of place. But I despise the leveling in that game. The leveling I did literally overnight by taking a C-clamp to my 3DS and creating a macro path, which you can do on the map, and C-clamping my A button down, where that just auto-attacked all night, and literally I hit level cap overnight. And the game became 10 times more enjoyable because I wasn't worrying about leveling up. The game was just better in my opinion. Alright, sorry, this has gone on long enough, but to summarize what's going on, I will never outgrow a genre of games, but I will outgrow specific usages of game mechanics. So if you use a mechanic poorly, I will not like your game. Thank you, and I wanted to also talk about Twitch shooters and how I outgrew them, but I've just spent enough time already. Thank you for watching up to this point. Sorry for the rants, but this topic was kind of close to my heart, and as you can see, I'm very passionate about it. And again, I don't like to rant, but that's kind of what I'm feeling about certain topics in games. So sorry, that's not usually my style. Again, thank you for watching, and until we meet again, stay on target. If you like what you saw, please give me a sub and a comment on here or B's original video, or Twitter, or social media, wherever you want to find me at. Please, just let me know what you thought.